Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. Guess who's back again. Yes. I am back after a month hiatus. Work got really busy. My schedule got way out of whack. And I was just like, you know what? Trying to squeeze in recording and then the editing part. Like, I probably could have squeezed in recording, but trying to edit so I just took a break. But your girl just had a birthday. And if you know, you know, every year I do a however many years of Black girl magic. So I am 45, y'all, which is, it's wild. Like, I need to be that age, right? Because my kids are 21, 23, and 25. So I cannot be the age that people want to tell me that I look, because then it's like, you know what I'm saying? The math really ain't mathing on having these grown behind kids. But I will say, you know, obviously I've had birthdays every year leading up to today, or not today. My birthday was actually June 27th, so a week ago. But the thing about it is, you know, for whatever reason, there's something about being literally dead center in the middle of my 40s and realizing that I'm only 5 years away from 50 that just, it's wild. It just, normally I've had birthdays and okay, like obviously I get older every year, but there's just something about this birthday that, like, I don't know if it's because so much grief and also growth, which can be painful, happened in the last year. Year 44 was a tough year because that was the year that my dad passed away, and it just brought about so much more pain than I expected it to, right? But there's just something about, one, a new year, because for me, my new year starts on my birthday because, you know, I wasn't born January 1st. I was born June 27th. You feel me? So there's that. There's just something about a new year of life and all that. For whatever reason, I just have so much excitement that, like, I don't know why though. Like, and typically when I have this feeling of, okay, I just really feel like something good is going to happen or things are going to shift or whatever. And it's not like things are terrible. That's the thing. Life is good. But I just have this strong feeling that this year is going to be just a really good year. So I've been like really excited about that. But then, I don't know, just being 45. And it's interesting because the 40s have been such a pivotal decade in my life. I remember when I turned 40, that was the last time when, like, or I'd say that was the first, well, I guess the last time, because now we have a second time. But that was the first time when I really just had a shift in my mind after a birthday of like, bruh, I'm 40, like, and I started evaluating like friendships. I started evaluating kind of like how I interact with people, how people interact with me, when they choose to interact and whatever. And I'm finding myself in that space again of just even how much energy I put out there with relationships, or even just like letting people be them, right? Sometimes I feel like I try to hold on to friendships more than I should. Like, I'm the one that's reaching out. I'm the one that's trying to whatever. And the thing about it is, I get we're all grown. We all have different lives. Like, I'm not saying that. But at the same time, you really can tell when, I don't know, people don't want to be bothered. And I just, you know, it's just weird. I find myself again at the age of 45, just kind of like, okay, evaluating myself, evaluating relationships, but also really just not caring about certain things that I used to care about. Like, I just want to be happy. I just want to have joy. I just want to have contentment. I just have this realization that I get to choose how I decide to feel about something. So let's say, I don't know, I face rejection or something like that. We'll just use that as an example. That hasn't happened recently, but I'm just saying we'll use that as an example. Let's say I go through that. I can choose to be butthurt about it, or I can choose to look at it like, hey, that just wasn't it. Whatever that may be, it could be a job, it could be a relationship, it could be whatever. But I think because 44 carried so much weight and grief, and it's like I finally got to the other side of the weight of all that. And Father's Day, like leading up to it, was tough and all of that stuff. Especially, it's already such a interesting holiday because that was the last time that we saw the girl's dad, and this is the 10-year anniversary of his death. And coming up in a few days actually is the 1-year anniversary of my dad's death. But you know what? One of the revelations that I got, man, shout out to Eric, you know what I mean? We were talking one time about, I don't know, I think I was really struggling with like my dad's death. It might have been on an episode re-recorded. I can't remember actually where we had the conversation, but he helped me understand that it's such a beautiful gift that my dad's last words to me were, I love you, I'll talk to you later, or talk to you soon, or something like that. That was the last text message he sent me. And then even in our last conversation, it was, I love you, I'm so glad you're my daughter. Like, those are the words that I get to remember. Your last words with anybody could literally be anything. Your last words with somebody could have been an argument, could have been them tearing you down, belittling you, whatever. The gift that I get from my dad is that his last words to me were, I love you, I'm so glad you're my daughter. And that's what I get to remember. But that's also what the girls get to remember with their dad. Their dad's last words to them were, I love y'all. So it's kind of like, I just, whatever, like for whatever reason, well, of course, leading up to the first Father's Day or whatever, it was going to be a bit of a struggle, but his words, because we actually had that conversation like before that, but then I was reminded of that, like the Lord reminded me of that conversation, and it really just shifted the way I felt going into Father's Day and going into June 29th, which is the girl's dad's actual death anniversary, which 2 days after my birthday, right? And then even as we're going into the 1-year anniversary of my dad's death. So then it's like, let's apply that thought process to everything, right? Like, I get to choose how I decide to have my emotions respond to whatever. And that's just really been a game changer for me. And I don't know, I just want to have joy. I just want to laugh. I know bad things are going to happen in life. I know there are going to be frustrations. I know there are going to be struggles, but I have really just decided that I went through a season where I allowed my emotions to really control me. And it even got to a point of it started affecting work. So that's when it really was like, okay, girl, like, because normally I could separate work and home life, right? And all that stuff. And it got to a point where I couldn't. And that's when I really knew, like, okay, you have allowed your emotions to have way too much control. And so I'm excited that going into a new year, I get to start a new year kind of like with that mindset. And so, yeah, for my birthday, on my birthday, it was super low key because we had a work event early the next morning. So I didn't really want to do anything, too crazy or anything like that, or like be up late because I had to be up super early the next morning. So on my birthday, I literally just got my nails done, treated myself to lunch from a restaurant that I like to go, like came home and ate it, spent time with my grandson, like braided his hair, and then went to the gym. Y'all, I had to do burpee. So distraught. y'all, I had to do burpees on my birthday, which is actually crazy, but whatever. So did a workout and took a couple shots, one shot with Janae, one shot with Kayliana, and that was literally it for my birthday. And then
At the time of this recording,
yesterday, I actually celebrated my birthday. So here in where I live, we have late nights at the zoo. And so basically that's a 21 and up event for the zoo. Most of the exhibits are open, some are not. And then, you know, when you purchase your ticket, you get a free drink ticket or whatever. So you can either get one alcoholic drink or two non-alcoholic drinks. They had a DJ, like it was so fun. So me and some of my friends went to that. And I have been wanting to go to that for years, but typically we would have like, even when I wasn't on staff, creative team stuff on Thursdays, or it just wouldn't work out or whatever. And so it was so fun. And I definitely want to go back to that before the summer ends. And then today,
at the time of this recording,
it's the 4th of July, but it's Friday and Friday is my day off. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and put an episode out here because I always do the birthday episodes. Let me get back into the rhythm of recording. And so, yeah, that pretty much has been like my birthday. And then like with my fitness journey, I've been doing the 75 soft. And so with that, it's basically just one workout every day for 75 days. There's other things like you need to read 10 pages of a book every day. You got to drink like 3 liters of water, eat pretty decently. And then with alcohol, because with 75 hard, you can't have any alcohol at all. With 75 soft, you can, like, for special occasions. And so like, you know, my birthday, I had a couple shots. And then when I went to the zoo yesterday, I had a couple drinks and, you know, stuff like that. But it's interesting because if it would have been no alcohol, I would have just did no alcohol because I don't even really drink like that. Like I will here and there, but it's not anything to where it's like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a struggle. Now, if it said no coffee, you know what I mean? I don't know that I would have been able to do that, right? And so been doing that. I will say that, oh, y'all, my youngest sister got married the week before my birthday. So she got married on June 21st, and I was able to fly out to, technically I flew out to New Jersey. The wedding was in Massachusetts, though, near Boston. So I got to see my dad, some of my uncles. I got to spend some time with my grandma, see my sister, of course. My brother and his wife were there. So that was super fun. Now, here's the thing. Traveling was a nightmare. Like, I got there super early because I had a 6:20 a.m. flight. I got there super early to, you know, get to the airport because you want to get there early. For whatever reason, when I was trying to check my bags, my card kept declining. And then I even had this gift card that had enough money on it as well. Both them cards kept declining. So then they had to rebook me on a later flight that was a few hours later. So the trip was supposed to be, I leave at 6:20, I have a quick layover in Charlotte, and then I get to New Jersey at 12:30 in the afternoon, right? That made me have my trip be that. My plane didn't leave until like 9:45. So that was when I kind of had my little crying session because I had only got like 2 hours of sleep the night before, got up super early because we live about a half an hour from the airport and you got to get there early when you have a 6:20 a.m. flight, right? And I just remember thinking like, bruh, I could have slept later if I would have known I was going to be on a 9:45 flight. Once I got past that, I was just like, it is what it is. So what was supposed to be is that I have a 9:45 flight and then I get to Dallas. So somewhere I wasn't even supposed to be. And then I had like a, I think 5-hour layover in Dallas is what it was supposed to be. Notice I said what it was supposed to be. And then I would get to New Jersey at like 10 something at night, right? So I get on the plane, I get to Dallas. First things first, the Dallas airport is just And like, it's so unnecessarily big. Like, I remember at one point during my layover, I'm like, okay, I got to get my workout in. I'm going to walk in the airport. Like, that's going to be my workout today, is to just walk. Tell me why. Mind you, I wasn't even on the furthest, we'll just say west side. I don't even really know if that's the direction, but just listen. I wasn't even on the furthest side of the airport. That, I just really thought about that. That's what's so crazy. And I just started walking, right? When I tell y'all, I walked a mile, over a mile actually, 1.24 miles in that airport before I finally hit a dead end and had to turn around to go back to where I was. Like, what? And like I said, I wasn't even on the furthest west side of the airport or whatever. Like, it was just crazy. So I decided I was going to walk. I also did some work or whatever. So here we go. I'm at the Dallas airport. I'm thinking my flight is going to leave at, I think it was 5 something is when it was supposed to leave. Get the first notification that the flight has been pushed back an hour. So I'm like, okay. Had a gate change at the same time. Okay, you know, it is what it is. I'm here. We here. It just is what it is, right? Time goes by. I'm working on whatever. I'm also irritated because I had to buy airport food, which was not in my original plan. And tell me why. I really spent almost $20 on a breakfast bagel sandwich and some coffee, and then had to buy another meal later because I was in the airport for like 7 hours. And here's the thing. I had some protein coffee and a bagel before I left. That's usually what I'll have for breakfast, is like a blended protein coffee shake thing or whatever, and a bagel. That's usually what I have for breakfast. What's crazy is I started to not eat that. And I'm telling you, the Lord was like, eat, right? I'm so glad I listened to that, because I started to not eat because I knew I'm probably just going to sleep on the plane. And my grandma had plans to take me to lunch, and she like had all this stuff planned. And I'm like, and I'm going to get there at 12:30. It'll be fine. Thank God I didn't do that, because that's not what happened. And yeah, so I get there at whatever, like 4 something. I had the protein, blah, blah, blah. I get there, I'm hungry, so I spent almost $20 on a breakfast bagel sandwich and some coffee. Disgusting. Like, the food was good. It's the fact that I paid that much that's disgusting, right? So then more times goes by, It felt like all the times, but more time goes by, and then I had to eat again. So thankfully, by this time, after all the walking that I did through the airport, I saw McDonald's, and listen, judge me if you want to. Here's what I will say. McDonald's prices were normal, right? They weren't, because you could go anywhere else in the world and get a bagel sandwich for breakfast outside of an airport, and you're not going to spend, because I think the coffee was only like, maybe we'll say the coffee was like $3. $15 for a bagel breakfast sandwich? Are you serious? It wasn't massive or extra large. It was like normal size. It was good, don't get me wrong. Or I could have just been hungry. I don't know. But $15? That's crazy. So the thing about McDonald's prices were normal. So I had McDonald's for dinner. Okay, so like I said, they said, okay, we're going to, push it back an hour. Okay, cool. And a gate change. Okay, that makes sense. Sure. More time goes by. And then they say we're going to push it back again another hour. Okay, sure. I'm still just so distraught, y'all. No, I'm just kidding. But another hour. So this means at the end of all of that, it means I wasn't going to get to Newark Airport until after midnight. I was supposed to be there at 12:30, y'all. Like, that was the original plan, that I was supposed to be there at 12:30 in the afternoon. So then finally they stopped pushing my flight back, because I was like, Lord, I don't really want to like be getting there super late because here's the thing, y'all. Yeah, I flew into Newark, but the wedding, like I said, was in Massachusetts. Now my uncles and my dad were staying in New Jersey, not too far from my grandma. So that's how all that worked out. But it was a 4-hour drive in the morning to the wedding, and it was a morning wedding. The wedding was at 10:30. So that means we left at 4:30. So me knowing all of this, me knowing that, yeah, I slept the whole way there, me knowing though that if I'm getting in after 12, originally the plan was that I was going to stay at my grandma's house and she was going to take me to meet my uncles and then I was going to ride with them to Massachusetts. Because I was getting there so late now, my dad was like, well, your uncle will pick you up and you could just stay at the Airbnb with them because it just didn't make sense to have my grandma come pick me from the airport after midnight and then turn around and have to take me somewhere at 4:00 in the morning, right? And so we decided to do that. So the flight is not getting moved back anymore. Praise the Lord. When I tell you I still had about 4 or 5 more gate changes all over different parts of the airport, like I don't really know what was going on, but traveling there was a nightmare. Now, when I got there, the Airbnb, I'm actually glad that's where I stayed. The view, I just didn't go to sleep because I was kind of scared that I would oversleep and just whatever. So I actually just showered and I just stayed up and slept on the way there because I'm like, okay, well, at least I could get 3 hours of sleep. It was interrupted, or I think 4 by the time it was all said and done. Interrupted sleep. Sitting up in a car. But listen, when I'm sleepy, I can sleep anywhere. You know what I mean? So the view, though, from the Airbnb balcony, and it was so peaceful out there. And it was just the aesthetics of it all. I was like, you know what? If my stuff had not been delayed, I wouldn't get this gift. And so I just kind of viewed that as, okay, this is a gift, right? Like, yeah, there were delays. Yeah, there were whatever. But it is what it is. This was a gift, right? The wedding was great. I love the way my sister had it set up to where, so there was the ceremony was outside. The reception was inside. And it was like all in the same property. So you know how normally after they have the ceremony, people go get pictures and all that stuff. And then there's either a gap where it doesn't start until later and you could do something else, or in some instances, you're just sitting there waiting. What I love is she had, appetizers and drinks and all this different stuff so that we were on the deck for that. Yeah, we were waiting, but there was music going. Like it felt like the pre-party for the reception. And then we had the reception. So I just love that, like, attention to detail that she had. So cool to see her get married. Like, she lives in the Boston area, but I had met her now husband when they came to visit a couple of years ago. So it was cool that like I had got to meet him before and all that good stuff. And then the next day went to church with my granny. She sings in the choir. So that was cool to get to see that. And then traveled home. Traveling home was nowhere near the nightmare that traveling there was, but there still were some frustrations and annoyances. And so like what I have decided from all of this is that if I cannot fly first class, because I was looking at like how much room they really have in first class, because on 2 of the flights, one there and one back, I was seated in between 2 random men that I didn't know. Now, nothing bad happened. They were like kind or sleep or whatever. Like, I'm not even saying it was like that, but it was such an awkward situation where I was literally sitting there like with my arm crossed, trying to just be as small as possible, because it's kind of like, why are you right there? Mind you, you're not doing anything. It's not your fault. And so when I was looking at like how in first class, they just have all this room, I also think if I can't have a direct flight, I don't want it anymore either, because when my dad died and I flew to go bury him, I had a direct flight. And so that actually happened to be the day where all the tech issues happened with the airport. So even though my flight was delayed, I want to say like an hour, it didn't affect me the way that it affected other people because I just had to tell my family, like, okay, I'm getting there later. Other people had to change their plans because they knew that they weren't going to make their connecting flight. But having had all of that foolishness with layovers, nah, like I want to get on the plane and then get off in my destination. I don't really want to do, and if I can't do that, then I just don't want to do it. I'm going to do what I need to do to make it to where, because I know that's more expensive, but it just is what it is. I don't really fly like that. And that experience just really made me like, I'm so cool on flying unless I can have it the way that I want it. And that brings me back to my point of, y'all, I'm close to 40. Like, I mean, close to 40. Well, I am on the other side though. I'm close to 50. Like, if I want something to be a certain way, I need to make it that way. I need to do whatever it is that I need to do to make it happen. If I am not happy with my weight, snatch 40s journey, then I need to be for real about it, right? And the interesting thing that I will say before I go ahead and end this episode is that another revelation that I got since my birthday is that so many times I've been on this journey and I would feel like, okay, I want someone to hold me accountable. I want us to be accountability partners and blah, blah, blah. And typically what has happened is whoever I chose to be as my accountability partner, whoever said, okay, yeah, I'll do this with you, they don't do it, they fall off. So then I feel like, okay, well, you're not doing it, so I don't really need to tell you. So then it takes away any accountability, and then eventually I fall off. And I started thinking about when I was in college, right? When I was in college, I was a single parent. I worked full time, and I went to school full time. And there were people that actually tried to talk me out of different parts of my journey that I knew I was supposed to go on. And no one had to convince me to go to class, to do my homework, to go to work, to take care of my kids, to do any of the things that I needed to do to get to where I wanted to be, right? I had a goal in mind and I was just very focused on that goal. And that's all I cared about, right? Like I remember that season, I didn't really do too much. Pretty much all I did was work, go to school, take care of my kids. And I would just try to have fun within those realms of whatever I was doing. That's where I'm at with my fitness journey. Like I'm no more, be my accountability partner. Nope, I'm doing this for me. I don't need anyone to hold me accountable. If I want to make this happen, then I'm going to do what I need to do and make the choices to make this happen. Otherwise, I'm not going to make it happen. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, apply that to everything. Like I said with flying, if I want to have a good flying experience the next time that I fly, I will be in first class and I will have a direct flight. And that is what's going to happen because I'm going to do what I need to do to make that happen. Like I have the power to make whatever I want to happen that now, obviously be realistic, but I have the power to achieve whatever goals I set. I'm very much the type of person that whenever I actually set my mind to something, whatever it takes to get it done, it's going to get it done. So yeah, so that is where I'm at, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, man, make sure you are taking care of yourself mentally. Make sure you are taking care of yourself emotionally and spiritually and physically and even intellectually. Shout out to Eric for adding that to my little rhythm or whatever. And then, yeah, be good to people, be healthy in your relationships. Like, don't be out here faking like you don't care about people that you do. I don't know why that's been heavy on my mind lately of how sometimes out of our woundedness, we will act like we care less about people than we do. And it's like life is hard. Those people probably need to know that you care about them. And life is short. It could be that you don't get the opportunity to tell them because you out here playing. So like heal, right? Do what you got to do to be able to be healthy within your relationships. And this is the last thing I will say. And I said this, I've been posting a lot in my stories lately because I just feel like we do a lot of stuff with work that's actually like really cool. And I don't have like the typical 9 to 5 work day. I, have different things. I do different days and I work from home a lot and stuff like that. And so I've just been, for whatever reason, posting glimpses of my day every day on my story. And I posted this video where I was just thinking like, and this is what I'm going to leave you with. If you have made a vow, right? Like, let's say you went through something painful or whatever. And if you have made a vow that you are no longer going to do whatever, it could literally be anything, right? And it's based on the fact of something painful that you went through related to that. So we can use relationships. If you're like, oh, I'm done with relationships because men are this and men are that, and it's because of whatever, or women are this or women are that, and it's because of the past relationships you had. If you're making vows about what you're not going to do in life because of pain that you went through, and it's not funny, but if you are making vows, then that means you are not walking in freedom. And I actually got convicted of that because I started thinking about how I'll be less, what's the word I'm thinking of? I guess I'll say I'll hold back and be more closed off than I really want to be because of past pain, because of, okay, the last time I did this, it didn't work out. It wasn't supposed to work out. That wasn't the person that it was supposed to work out with, right? If I'm someone who believes that whatever is for me, I've said this on here in the past, and whoever is for me, that means if it didn't work out, that person wasn't for me in the way that I wanted them to be. But I shouldn't be out here making vows that, oh, I'm never going to try again. That means I'm not walking in freedom. So that is what I have for y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love y'all so much, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for